Good evening, good evening, good evening. I think that song is still topping the charts on the Billboard, but what do I know about music? That's just my favorite song. Good evening, everyone. It's another night of Real Fellas Talk Sports on a Tuesday. How about this? Where else would you want to be on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock when Real Fellas Talk Sports? Man, we got a hot show tonight. We are cutting butter with a hot knife. Let me go first to our fellas. Larry Abels is in the house. Larry, how you doing? The voice of
I'm
reason.
good. Season greetings to everybody.
Thank you, Larry.
Indeed. My favorite Fox alumni, David Burnett. How you doing, David?
I'm doing well, dressed in my Ball State red and my Indiana crimson and my Indiana hat. Now, I told Chuck earlier, the only time I would cheer against Indiana, it would be if Ball State would somehow revive their dead football program. But I'm cheering for Indiana.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
All right. But not least, my dear friend, Chuck Snowden. Chuck, how you doing?
Greg, I'm doing wonderful. I can't wait. It's a Tuesday night. It's our last show of 2025. So I can't wait to review the week in sports. And there was a lot of it.
And last but not least, we got Chuck Snowden. Chuck, how you doing tonight?
Ruh-roh. I'm doing good, Greg. We could be having some communication, but we'll be fine.
What's going on with my internet? We got a little internet issue going on.
Right.
All right. Can you hear me now? How's that?
We can hear you.
We can hear you. Us.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can hear you now. Let's see. What's going on? Something's going on with my internet. I don't know what's happening.
I know while you're working on that,
a lot of NFL games.
Well, you want to, hey Greg, you want to go out and come back in, and we'll get started. You can jump in when we are while we're rolling.
Yeah, that's probably a good suggestion.
All right. Let me take Greg out for the moment, and okay. Greg, fix your system, and we'll bring you right back in.
I know that one game he wanted to kick off the conversation with is the Broncos and the Chiefs. And I know that the Broncos won that game 20-13 over the Chiefs. Obviously, the Chiefs' season is over. They even had some quarterback named Chris. I don't even know if I can pronounce his last name.
Olave.
Thank you. Good job, David. He was their quarterback. Their offense was putrid, and the Broncos beat them by 7. And I guess that just shows you that, again, Denver is one of the teams beat in the AFC, but the Chiefs, without Mahomes and that cast of characters, it just wasn't their year. I guess my question that comes out of that game is, will Kelce be back? Did Kelce just play his last game in Denver and in Kansas City? What you think, David?
It probably should be his last year. The Kansas City juggernaut has come to an end. They will have to regroup, get Mahomes healthy again, and they probably will be ready a couple of years from now.
Yeah, I think they will regroup too, because they do have a guy named Patrick Mahomes, and he's still really, really good. And he's still pretty young. What do you think, Larry? You think that's Kelsey's last year?
Yeah, I guess he's supposed to be making an announcement sometime soon. I think if he were to decide right now, it seems like all the clues are pointing toward this was his last game. But he may take some time away and decide to give it one more run, especially if he talks to Mahomes and Mahomes says, "I need you." He might do
one more year.
Yeah.
Right. Of course,
but it's not too many more years for sure.
Of course, his fiance could tell him just the opposite. No, that's it for you. So it'll be interesting.
I think Kelsey at this point in time has got a lot going on outside of football. He's healthy. At least we believe he's healthy. We believe he doesn't have CTE. He's got a wealthy girlfriend who will probably—
she's only a billionaire.
She will probably become a billionaire if she's not already.
No, she is already.
She's already one.
Well, we believe she is.
Right.
We believe she is.
According to reports.
Right.
According to reports. I mean, but this is a good time for him to retire. His brother's got a good career going. He can join right in with his brother. They have a podcast like we do.
Right.
So it's a little bit more popular than our podcast, but we're catching up.
Right. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. Again, it depends on if the Chiefs, along with Mahomes, decide, let's take one more run at this thing. And if they can bulk up their team a little bit, their schedule, I don't think, will be nearly as hard as it was this past season, which I also thought was one of their biggest challenges. They had a heck of a schedule, and they lost all of those one possession games. And so we'll see. I saw where the coach said he's coming back, so we'll see if they're going to give it another run. The next game he wanted to talk about was the Ravens and the Packers. Boy, we got one now, don't we? We got one.
All right, Greg,
now.
you ready?
I think I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Oh,
yeah, we can hear you now.
Hey, Greg,
not sure what happened there, but we did a reboot, so thank you for your patience. That's the thrill of live TV, right? That's the thrill of live
TV. We did the Broncos and the Chiefs.
We're getting ready to get into the Ravens and the Packers.
So the Ravens and the Packers, what a game. So I'll start with you, Larry. My question is this. Have the Ravens seen the light that when Henry gets the ball, they win? Have they seen the light?
Well, it appeared that he did this week,
Kung
Fu.
Kung Fu.
Kung Fu.
Again.
It appeared that they finally figured it out what everybody else is saying. Give them the ball. It's okay to have your change of pace, but we don't have to stick to a script. Let them take a call for a play or two, put them back in the game. And they look great this week. Henry looked great this week.
He really did. So, Chuck, Huntley is not a bad backup quarterback. Not ready to replace Lamar with him just yet, but he looked pretty good. Tell me what you thought about that.
Well, I agree with you 100%. Look, if you're talking about backup quarterbacks, right, and everybody's got to have one because it's tough to go 17 weeks or 18 weeks without, with your starter not getting banged up. But both of those quarterbacks, Malik Willis for Green Bay and Scoop, were really good for Baltimore. And both of them are flexible, meaning they can run and they can throw. And I thought Huntley, his numbers were impressive. I think he was like 16 for 20, well, for only 107 yards, but he rushed for 60 yards, and he handed the ball off to Henry, and that's all we need you to do. I thought it was a very impressive win. 40 points in Green Bay, that was huge.
All I can say is Tyler Huntley, I've been telling you, Chuck, you dogged me a bit. I'm going to let you know. He's pretty good.
He is.
He's
pretty good.
He was really solid. But so stay with that, David, because here's what I look back at some of the stats, and it seems like when Lamar is in, Henry gets the ball less, but when Huntley is in, he gets, maybe they lean on Henry more. But I got this challenge with, why can't they do both? Why can't they mix it up? So it's just something that I noticed. I don't know if it's a trend or a pattern, but it just occurred to me.
I think what's going on is that you have a Hall of Fame soon-to-be quarterback, and you've got to feed the beast, and you've got to let him show his tools, and that's why you don't see the running back as often as you do. Tyler Huntley is a reserve. He's a backup. So you're gonna lean on that big whale of a running back. You're gonna lean, and I think it's just that simple. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, and I guess when you combine that with the fact that he probably hasn't taken a lot of snaps with the first team, that they don't want to throw too much at him. So yeah, right. Maybe that's the case. Okay, so let's look at the Steelers and the Browns. Man, what a game! I've been singing the praises of Shedeur Sanders since day one. He's not great. He's not there yet, but I said some time ago, I think he's better than 50% of the starting quarterbacks in NFL. I feel like he's there. I feel like he's there. Larry, what are your thoughts on that game?
Well, I disagree with your premise. He hasn't proved that he's better than 50%. He looks like he belongs in the league to me. My take on that game was Cleveland's defense and the fact that DK Metcalf didn't play. I think that really disrupted Pittsburgh's offense. He took away when they couldn't double cover him, that took away all of those people that help out a lot, like Gainwell, that normally catches 10 or 12 passes out of the backfield. DK Metcalf has messed him up. Shedeur did okay. I mean, he did okay, but what was it, 12-7 game? Pittsburgh's defense was a monster.
Yeah.
I mean, Cleveland's defense was a monster.
All right, Chuck, is Shedeur Sanders a legitimate NFL starting quarterback?
Well, I don't know if he's – so here's the thing. I have come full circle. I was not a Shedeur fan. I was hard on Shedeur. I didn't like him, and he's won me over. Now, do I think he's there yet in terms of starters in the NFL? I don't know yet. But in terms of rookie quarterbacks, he's as good as the ones I've seen. There's a lot of potential there. I like him. He still made a bad interception. I know he had two, but the one when he threw back across the field, that was bad. But he managed the game. And the bottom line in the National Football League, in terms of what the coach says, the goal is to win the game. And they did win the game. They beat Pittsburgh. And that's all that matters to win that. And I needed him to beat them because it sets up the Pittsburgh Ravens game this weekend.
Yeah, I think the defense saved him on that interception. That was a big defensive stand, and that was a terrible interception. He was ill-advised. He was on his back foot. He got nobody behind the throw. So yeah, it was. So David, what did you think about that game?
Let me just start on Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur is a legitimate up-and-coming quarterback. Right. He's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. There's a lot of hate towards Shedeur based on his father, based on Shedeur's personality, and I think that that's unfortunate. The reality is that people tend to forget. John Elway is considered one of the great quarterbacks of all time. In 11 games as a rookie, he threw 7 touchdown passes and 14 interceptions. He went on to become an all-time great. Peyton Manning, who I like, played most of his career in Indianapolis, threw 28 record-setting interceptions as a rookie. Why all the hate for Shedeur Sanders, who was given an opportunity late, wasn't given an opportunity to practice with the starters at all, thrown into a game? A lot of hate. I put out a post the other day, and you'd be surprised at the kind of hatred that I saw towards Shedeur Sanders. Unfair, unfounded. He's going to be okay. That said, the story of the game was Aaron Rodgers is dead.
That game.
No, he can't play anymore. I'm sorry.
He had 3 great games in a row. 3.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He's not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers won 4 MVPs. The Aaron Rodgers that we have come to accept, all of his idiosyncrasies, et cetera, et cetera. He's not that guy anymore. He's 41, and he showed every inch of it, particularly that last drive when he couldn't hit anything. I'm sorry. Aaron Rodgers is going to cost Mike Tomlin his job.
He's certainly not the guy he was. He's certainly not the guy he was before. I'll still go back to he needed DK there. DK could catch the ball with somebody standing next to him.
Even when DK was there,
they win that game. They win that game if DK plays Sunday to me.
Well, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
No, I didn't say coulda, woulda, nothing. They win that game if he's there.
No, they wouldn't.
Rodgers is an average guy at best. He needs some help like that, and they're going to lose this week for the same reason.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, he has become average. His age and that Achilles injury, he has become average.
Hold on. Let's take a. Okay, hold on a second now. They were booing Tomlin in Pittsburgh. They thought the thing was over. He went on a 3-game winning streak and put them in this position. That was Rodgers too.
And those were the 3 games that he had that were very good. That's what a good Hall of Fame quarterback should be able to deliver.
Receiver was out.
I don't see him carrying the team on his back like he used to.
100%.
He can't. He's not
That's why I keep
anymore.
saying if DK's there, different ball game. He needs some help. He definitely needs some help.
DK would have.
Well, but that's why in my comments last week. That's why in my comments last week I came down so hard on DK, because you can't do that. He doesn't realize how crucial he is to that team's success. He is their offensive weapon. He's the weapon. And when you do stuff like smacking a fan over something stupid that they said, you jeopardize your whole team's success. And so, Larry, I agree with the voice of reason that, man, DK Metcalf is in there. It's a different story. He's a beast. He's a true beast, man. So
on paper, but
they normally score more than 12 points a game, which all they would have needed to win this game. What may help them next week is Baltimore's coach may not give Henry the ball.
Exactly.
Also, Myles Garrett said he felt like Aaron Rodgers was stopping him from breaking the record, because every time he would get closer, he kept looking over. He would throw it, he would just throw it away or throw it too quickly. So I don't know.
But you know what? Well, I heard Garrett say that they were more concerned with him not getting a record than winning the game. But they did the same when they played him the same way the first time. They give him extra attention like he deserves, because if you don't do that, he's going to get there.
But even if Myles Garrett's not chasing the record, I don't want him getting a hold of me. So I'm gonna throw the ball. I don't care if he's not chasing the record. That dude is he is one of the strongest defensive linemen in the league. I don't want him getting a hold of me to sling me around. No, I throw the ball away too, whether he's chasing a record or not. So so listen. Let's talk about the Bills.
Once Shedeur got them off to a 10-0, they jumped out 10-0, and that was 2 good drives that he had.
Yeah,
the defense took it from there. And as you know, in those conference games amongst themselves in that conference, those are dog fights. Those are battles. So I'm not surprised. Look, the Bengals went into Baltimore and beat them a couple of weeks ago in Baltimore. So I'm okay with that. I'm glad they lost, because I want to set up the game this week.
So Larry, it looks to me like the Bills and the Eagles during that game, they look both like they're stumbling into the playoffs. They're not coming into the playoffs with any kind of momentum. The Eagles have a chance to get right this week against my Commanders. They have a chance to get up right, but I'm predicting an upset there. What do you think about that game and those 2 teams?
Well, it was played in a monsoon, so I'll give a little bit of slack there. But the Eagles haven't been impressive offensively to me. Other than when they played the Commanders and the Raiders, they haven't in the last 5 or 6 weeks. They haven't looked like anything. They didn't complete a pass in the second half. We got 17 total yards of offense, even in the monsoon. Come on. I don't know. But given the conditions, I don't expect I expected kind of a sloppy game. We kind of got that.
Chuck, what do you think about that game? What do you think about that?
I can't put my finger on the Eagles. I really can't, because they too have the pieces. I kind of want to blame the quarterback. I don't know why I do that, but I don't know what the problem is. This is the second game this year that he did not complete a pass in the second half of the game. And they won both those games. I don't know. They have the tools. They won the Super Bowl last year. Maybe they're waiting for the playoffs and they can get right in the playoffs. But I tell you what, you used the word perfectly. They are stumbling into the playoffs.
Yeah, they're not going to face the Commanders or the Raiders.
Or the Raiders. Right.
Agreed. You can't have the homecoming team every week, right?
Right.
So, David, what do you think? What do you think about the Bills and the Eagles? What do they got to do to get right for the playoffs?
I think the Eagles will be fine. They operate as a dysfunctional unit. They have a coach that doesn't have full control of the team, but they play well when they have to. They have been in the Super Bowl 2 times and won 1, and Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes. I don't know what else they have to do. They're going to be fine. I think they're going to be fine. Do they have some problems? Could they be a better operating unit? Of course they could. But they're the defending Super Bowl champion until decided otherwise.
You got it. All right. So when I watch the Bears and the 49ers, I feel
another great game.
Maybe I haven't been giving the 49ers the credit they deserve this year. They are a precision operation, man. I mean, these guys, they look so incredible. Now, the Bears didn't lay down for them. Now, the Bears, they fought a good fight. I just think at the end of the day, they didn't have the guns. But I think both of these teams are going into the playoffs with super momentum. Larry, what are your thoughts on the 49ers-Bears game, and who's going into the playoffs with the strongest momentum?
Okay, my thoughts, it was okay to watch, but while I'm watching it, I thought of a courtroom line where they say the defense rests. I think both defense were resting. It was even though the 49ers had to punt twice, which is the first 2 times they did since November.
Yeah.
I'm an old school guy. I like a 21-24 game like that, competitive. Yeah. But I mean, both of their offenses really had it going. And I walked away from that game having a little more respect for Chicago, actually. I've always thought San Francisco's played well, given their 2 top defensive players are out for the year and the injuries they had on offense. They seem like a well-coached unit, and I think they're able to give anybody a game. But I was kind of like looking at the Bears, kind of like I looked at Washington last year. I don't know. They're pulling out these games. But this was a game they were challenged, and they almost pulled this out, and they hung in there for it. So I got to take my hats off to them.
They did. All right, Chuck. So, Chuck, Larry made me think about something. Just think about the question I asked him about the game and who's going into the playoffs with momentum. But are the rules making for these high-scoring games? Because it seems like there are a lot of pass interference calls downfield that could go either way. And when you keep giving folks penalties in the red zone, you're going to have high-scoring games. So is this what the NFL is planning for?
Well, I've never liked the pass interference situation. Every game I watch, I see these controversies. I mean, they are controversial. We were talking about the game earlier between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. On the last play of the game, if that ain't pass interference that Cleveland Browns did on the Pittsburgh guy, I don't know what pass interference is. So pass interference, I get that. But what I would say about the 49ers and the Bears, they're coached by 2 good coaches. I mean, not good coaches, great coaches. And you see it. I mean, Larry mentioned they didn't have some offensive guys. They didn't have a couple of defensive guys. And they look like a machine. Purdy ran the ball in twice. So I was just very impressed. Now, Caleb had the ball at the 2-yard line at the end of the game, and they just couldn't score because they could have won that game. Plus, he had missed a wide-open receiver a play or 2 before that. Boy, I thought it was a fun game to watch, quite frankly.
I did too. David, what did you think about that game? And what do you in the context of high scoring games? Is it good defense, bad defense, too many PI calls?
I just got one name,
Oh boy, here we go.
Brock
I knew
Purdy.
it. I knew it.
Here we go.
Brock Purdy has not been given enough credit for what he's done. He's an outstanding. Chuck. This is for you.
I'm sorry.
This is for you. You have demeaned and besmirched Brock Purdy's ability for 2 years, and he has done nothing but deliver. He's a pretty good Mr. Irrelevant if there ever has been one. That said, Caleb Williams is a tremendous Mahomes lookalike. He play alike. He's going to have a great career if he doesn't get hurt. And sometimes he puts himself in bad situation. But it was a good game. The pass interference stuff, it is what it is. The NFL wants points. That's how they get them.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if we're not, unfairly judging defenses and giving them the side eye and saying they're weak, they're not playing well, when maybe the rules are designed for them not to play very well. Maybe that's by design. So what makes? Let me just one quick answer from everybody. Larry, what makes the 49ers so good?
Very disciplined team, and I think they have good game plans. They seem to know their opponent's tendencies, but especially offensively, their coach seems to be, like, overused term, offensive genius. He seems to be there. It almost doesn't matter sometimes who quarterback's there.
Thank you.
But the other part of that, Chuck, is they get players that fit their system.
Agreed.
And I think we were talking last week, and we were talking about how some coaches adjust their system to their talent. They seem to work well with their general manager and get people in there.
Chuck, what's the secret sauce of the 49ers?
They're just well coached. I think Larry said it perfectly. We've tossed that word around a lot, genius, but I think that guy, Kyle Shanahan, is a genius. I think he knows what he is doing because they've got injuries galore, and they don't miss a beat. They don't miss a beat at the quarterback position when they're injured. And he does it all the time. Now, when it comes to a Super Bowl game or something of that nature, he might fumble, he might not do as well. But in terms of regular season, that is the toughest division in football with the Seattle and the Rams. And in fact, the game coming up this week between the 49ers and Seattle in San Francisco is maybe the game of the week. And I just think Shanahan is a hell of a coach, man. I really do. Big time.
Yeah. So I agree with you. That game coming up this week is mega. That is that's Saturday night at 8:00. And I don't know who made the schedule, but boy, they that's like a Nostradamus moment right there. We saw something. David, what is the secret sauce of the 49ers? What's your secret sauce?
I'm not going to be as effusive as Chuck about the 49ers. First of all, they haven't won anything. And Kyle Shanahan is a good offensive coordinator. When he wins the Super Bowl, we'll talk. But he does run a good ship, a good second place operation.
Okay.
All right. So in addition to all the great things that you all said, which I agree with, I think one other thing that they do really well, they have very few mental mistakes. If you watch them, there are very few mental breakdowns. They're a very smart football team. They don't have a lot of turnovers, but they don't make mental mistakes. You don't typically see somebody catching a touchdown wide open and the defensive backs looking at each other like, where were you? Like, no, where were you? Where were you? They don't have a lot of mental breakdowns. They're really good at that.
So I think real quick, I want to make one last point about them too.
Yep.
So and you're going to talk about this later, and we're going to talk about who the MVP is for the year. And that's going to be the guy from New England or the guy from the Rams maybe. But I tell you what Christian McCaffrey does for the 49ers, no other running back does for their team, meaning this. He's got 97 receptions this year. He's got 1,200 yards rushing. To me, he's as valuable as those two quarterbacks in terms of their system and what they ask him to do, and he does it every week.
I mean, to me, he is the ultimate Swiss Army knife. He can do so many different things. It's not even funny, man. He really can.
Catching the ball, too.
So, Larry, Who are your 2 Super Bowl teams? Which 2 teams are going to make it to the Super Bowl?
I mean, this week?
Yeah, this week.
Okay. Well, it's still a tough call right now. I'll go with. Gosh, that's tough. Okay, I'm going to say Seattle and in New England.
Chuck.
I'm going to say Seattle, and this is crazy what I'm going to say next. Baltimore.
Whoa, that is crazy. David.
Before I respond to that, I just want to say this. Christian McCaffrey is a great running back, but he's no Roger Craig. Roger Craig, first running back to get 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. So Christian McCaffrey is not doing anything that another San Francisco running back has not done. Okay, that said, what's the question?
Super Bowl.
2 Super Bowl teams.
Buffalo and Philly.
All right. I'm going with the Seahawks, and I'm going with Seahawks and the Bills. I think the Bills are going to get right. I think they're going to get upright, but they're struggling a little bit right now. Okay, as of today, this moment in time, who is your MVP, Larry?
I'm going to go with Davis guy, Myles Garrett.
All right, okay. Chuck.
Because let me give you my definition.
Okay.
This is my definition. This is not, I know the sports writers don't, you got to be on a winning team and all that. My definition is a player that has significant impact when he's playing. Not a team award, but an individual impact. So based on that, I'm going with Myles Garrett.
Yep. Chuck.
Well, I'm going to take your definition. I don't think it's Myles Garrett, but I'm going to take your definition right there, and I'm going to say it's Christian McCaffrey.
Okay. All right. David.
I agree with Larry, but we know it's not going to be. So because it's a quarterback award, I'm going to say Josh Allen. Josh Allen's got a foot problem right now, but Buffalo would not be anywhere where they are without him. He's just an outstanding, complete football player. And that's my MVP.
What I love about us, we keep it real and we say who we think. I appreciate that because it's going to be Drake May.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I go back. Mine is Josh Allen because I think that, again, my definition of MVP is not only is he an outstanding, incredible player, but his play has led his team to massive success. And the Bills are nothing without Josh Allen. They are a big fat goose egg. Right. And I lean toward Matt Stafford, but his great play, they seem to be losing some close games. So it's neck and neck between those two for me. Okay, before we wrap up the NFL, I got some trivia for you, man. I got 2 questions. One is good. The other one is kind of goofy, but it's a good trivia question. Okay, the first one, the serious one. Which team in the NFL notoriously has the longest wait list for tickets? Which team in the NFL notoriously has the longest wait list for tickets? Larry.
Wait a minute. What does notoriously mean? Like, you mean currently or?
Like it's well known that this is it's well known. It's been for a long time. This is the longest wait list for tickets in the NFL.
So I've had to guess for a long time. I'll say Pittsburgh. No,
Chuck.
Green Bay. Okay.
Green Bay.
I'll say Buffalo. I'll say Buffalo.
All right. David.
Probably Pittsburgh. But I'd say Pittsburgh. But you know what it used to be? It used to be the Washington football team.
Back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why I asked for clarification on that. And it's probably somebody like Panthers or something like that. It's probably
actually the voice of reason. You are correct. It is the Green Bay Packers. You are correct. All right. Okay. Now here's the kind of goofy one. If you look at all the logos for NFL teams, they all point to the right. There's only one logo that points to the left. Team logo. There's only one that points to the left. Which one is it?
Tampa Bay.
Okay, Larry, Tampa Bay. Chuck?
Oh my goodness, that points to the left. I have no idea. The Falcons?
Okay, David?
The Cardinals.
Hey, the coach don't point to the right. The coach don't point to the right.
They point straight up.
Right.
So the Philadelphia Eagles has the only logo that points to the left, that faces left.
Really?
Everybody else's faces right. They either center. I'll send it to you when the show is over. It's hilarious. But I looked at it, I'm like, that's kind of a goofy question, but it's actually kind of a good trivia question. If you look at the logos, it's the only one that's left facing.
It stumped us all.
I'm getting an F.
Explain, how does that work? Because what makes them point to the? Because it's like two feathers, right? Or like what is their logo?
The eagle is facing to the left. The eagle is facing the left. The eagle's face is facing to the left.
Oh yeah. See, I'm thinking of too old a helmet, I guess, because I'm thinking it's just like their feathers or something pointing to the front or something.
It's the Eagles logo, okay. Their logo, the flag, the eagle is facing left. Everybody else's profile.
Oh, you see the logo. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Greg.
Let's talk about college. Yep.
Hey, Greg, I know this is your show, but I'm curious because we don't. I'm from the panel. I want to ask a real quick question. Who is your NFL Coach of the Year?
Sure. Good question. My Coach of the Year is Mike Macdonald, Seattle Seahawks.
How about you, David?
I don't know.
It's a hard one. It's really a hard one. How about you, Larry?
That is.
It's a hard one.
I'm saying between Vrabel and San Francisco's coach.
Yeah.
But Seattle's coach wasn't a bad call either.
I would say Vrabel.
Broncos coach.
I don't
Was
think there's a wrong answer. Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think these guys, I've never seen so many coaches do a fantastic job in the same season.
I can tell you some wrong answers.
No, but I mean, there are some. I think the coaching has been amazing this year. I really do. At 5 or 6 or 7 teams, and I think if Seattle beats the 49ers in San Francisco, they'll be 14-3. And no one even talks about that guy, and I think he would be Coach of the Year in my opinion. But that's just my 2 cents.
All right. So we want anything else we want to cover on the NFL? Anything else on the NFL?
Big games this weekend.
All right. Okay. So let's go to college football. College football playoffs are getting underway. Now we're getting to the serious games. We're past the blowouts and the teams that may or may not have should have been there. Now we're into the serious games. Miami versus Ohio State. What are the keys to the game and who wins? Larry.
I'm not sure the keys to the game, but I think Ohio State's going to win this game.
Okay. All right. Chuck.
I think it's going to be Ohio State as well. And I think the keys are, I don't think Ohio State will be making mistakes. And I think Ohio State is loaded. I do. Offensively and defensively. I think they got like 3 or 4 first-round picks on the defensive side. Miami, they've got a lot of talent, but they make mistakes. They make mistakes during games. So I think the discipline and the turnovers and the mistakes are going to be the keys.
David.
I think Ohio State blows out Miami. I don't even think it's going to be close. I don't even think it's going to be close.
I agree. I think Ohio State is going to crush them. But I will say this, and I think this is for Ohio State, not only for this game, but moving forward, they got to figure out a way to bring Jeremiah Smith more into the game plan. He's not getting the ball enough. When he gets the ball, they win, plain and simple. He outmuscles every little defensive back in college. He's stronger, he's bigger, he's faster, but for whatever reason, he just doesn't get the ball as much. He's one of the keys to them.
Except for my guy Pounds from Indiana, he played him tough, and he's only 5'9".
He did a good job with it. Okay, Larry, Oregon versus Texas Tech. Who wins that game, and what's the key?
I'm gonna go with Oregon. I'm just not sold on Texas Tech. It probably will be a close game, but I think Oregon will pull that out.
All right, Chuck.
I like Oregon too. Oregon's tough. They got a good quarterback as well, good program, good athletes. I like Oregon. I just don't know enough about Texas Tech. And have they been in this, this situation much in their career?
No.
They say they're the best team in Texas that money can buy, but I still like Oregon.
All right, David.
Oregon big. And they just have too much offense for them. And they've got a great young quarterback. And
your Big Ten bias is showing, David.
It's not a bias. I just think Oregon is a better team than Texas Tech. Texas Tech doesn't have a football pedigree. I mean, I know Mahomes played there, but Mahomes played there when Texas Tech was like 5-5. So I'm going with Oregon.
Yeah,
they got that Nike money and the multiple uniforms that they wear. It'll be interesting to see what they wear in the next game.
Right.
They got uniforms that they just wear and throw away. I mean, that's when you got real stack money. I mean, you got stack money when you wear them and throw them away. And I do think Oregon is going to run through them like a warm dose of castor oil, just because Texas Tech may be the last team that maybe shouldn't be in this playoff. So I think, but Dante Moore, who was my choice for Heisman before Mr. Mendoza came along and just blew everybody's skirt up. I mean, Dante Moore was the guy, and then along came Mendoza, and that was that. So I think Oregon will run away with that. Now, here's a good game. Alabama versus Indiana. Who wins it, and what's the key to the game, Larry?
I don't know who's going to win this game. I'm going to pass on this. But I will tell you, this is a game I'm interested in. I want to see Indiana play against the SEC team. I think they took a step from last year and got better and proved themselves in the Big Ten. So I want to see them really go up against Alabama. Historically, Alabama, 3 years ago, we laughing at this game. But I just want to see what Indiana can do against them. I'm real anxious to see. And I want to see what Alabama can do against Indiana, because I'm not quite as sold on them this year. So I guess if I got to pick, I'll give a slight edge to Indiana.
All right, Mr. Hoosier, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to pick Indiana, but I think the game's going to be close. I don't think Alabama is as talented in previous years. Larry talked about 3 years ago and so forth. I just like Indiana. Indiana is balanced. Their defense is good. Their offense is good. Their special teams is good. They're well coached. They're going to be prepared. And so is Alabama, but I still like Indiana, about 4 or 5 points.
All right, David, what are your thoughts?
I'm rooting for Indiana, but I'm concerned because not because of the players on the field, but because of the history of the program that they're playing. Alabama is Alabama. It's just kind of like you see the Crimson Tide, the history, the fans. And I hope Indiana, particularly since it's going to be raining, doesn't fall prey to the fact that, we're playing Alabama. And that it may not be Nick Saban as the head coach anymore, and it's Kellen DeBeer, but it's Alabama. And I think Indiana can win the game, should win the game, but I wouldn't be surprised if they fell prey to the history and the reputation of Alabama.
David, you said that before about the storied programs and the history of them. And, I think there's something to that. I think that for some of these schools that are small or less storied in terms of their football history, I do think there's a kind of a shock and awe factor for some of these smaller schools when they come up against them. They just can't even imagine themselves beating that team. I honestly believe that Mendoza is going to show his ass this week. I really do. I think he rises to the occasion, and I don't think that Alabama's offense can keep up with the offense of Indiana. That's where I think the difference will be. But I mean, look, what do I know? I'm a Commanders fan, so what do I know?
Listen. One last thing.
I think Indiana's players don't care anything about that. They beat Ohio State.
Right.
We're big time now. That's why I say
they went to Oregon. They went to Oregon and beat Oregon. They beat Ohio State in the championship game. They went to Penn State and beat Penn State at Penn State. Those programs is as big as Alabama. So,
but they're not as
guys are not that old.
storied.
They've been around 100 years.
Right.
Yeah. Well, one thing I will say,
took the big step after last year. This year,
last year, you're right. Last year they were a little bit stunned because they haven't been there before. But they've turned the page on that.
They probably think they belong there.
If Alabama beats them, they beat them. They just
that's it.
I think this is what needs to happen. Remember, Indiana's coach was once an assistant coach at Alabama. Yep. He can help diffuse any of the fear factor, because there's going to be a fear factor. We're playing Alabama.
Well, if they're afraid, they're going to probably lose. If they're afraid,
I hear you, Larry. But
I don't see why they would be afraid. I think
when I say fear,
this year. Last year was like,
let me finish my point. Let me finish my point.
All right.
You're not letting me finish my point.
I'm sorry.
I think sometimes the reputation can overwhelm someone. I'm not saying Indiana is scared, but there's a fear factor when you're facing kind of a legacy program. And I think Curt Cignetti can mitigate some of that because he knows the Alabama system. He's been there. He coached under Nick Saban. And he can tell them, Nick Saban ain't walking through that door. Joe Namath is not walking through that door. We're Indiana. And I think that's what he brings in Indiana. I think Indiana can win the game, but don't be surprised if they're a little bit infatuated, overwhelmed, possibly by the reputation of Alabama. That's all I'm saying.
So, Chuck, what would our guys from Michigan Park feel about anybody? How would we feel about this?
They wouldn't be scared. I can tell you that. They wouldn't be scared. Now, David, I think what David really, here's all I'm saying. Alabama has quality players. Alabama has practice. Alabama has good coaches. Alabama, has been in tough games this year. So it's not like they're playing the sisters of the poor. But I think Indiana is so it has nothing to do with all that other stuff you're talking about. I think they're two good teams. And one of them is going to lose.
One little piece of trivia. Keep in mind, Kellen DeBeer was an assistant coach at Indiana just a few years ago.
2019.
Before he went to Washington. And Curt Cignetti, 10, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, was an assistant coach at Alabama. And that's kind of an interesting little piece of trivia and a twist.
So I think these legacy programs do matter, but I also think that a coach like Cignetti is able to get his team past that. I think there's some coaches that cannot get their teams past the legacy of an Alabama or Georgia or an Ohio State. I think Cignetti, and listen, the first year he was at Indiana, he didn't get past it. They got routed.
No, I agree.
But I think that he is so confident, and he talks with such confidence and such competency that I think he's able to get his team past it. So I do think that. Now I believe Indiana and Ohio State will play in the national championship game. That's what I think will be the national championship. But tell me, let me stick with the agenda. Ole Miss and Georgia. What are your thoughts, Larry? Who wins that game?
Oh, I think Georgia's a powerful team. I think, I think they're probably out of the SEC teams the best shot of winning the whole thing.
Yeah, they're the only threat to Ohio State in that bracket, I believe. Chuck, who do you think?
I like Georgia too. The portal.
Ole Miss or Georgia?
Oh, Coach Fenner. Oh, I know who that is. Yeah. What's up, Greg?
But no, that is number one son. Who taught me about football? I know. All right.
That's little Greg right there. Hey, I think Georgia will win that game,
exactly.
And I think the fact that Ole Miss doesn't have their head coach, sooner or later that has to catch up at some point.
Yeah. All right, David. Ole Miss and Georgia.
Ole Miss can win the game, but they're going to get their ass kicked. Ole Miss had a chance to knock off Georgia earlier in the season and blew it. I say Georgia wins by 2 touchdowns minimum.
Yeah. I'm just not sure Ole Miss can do it without nut job Lane Kiffin. I think the ghost of Lane Kiffin will haunt them this game. I think last game they got past it, but I don't think they'll get past this game because Georgia is so freaking physical. They are so strong, man. That's a physical team. All right.
I have a feeling players are not that disappointed that Lane Kiffin is gone.
Well, especially after he lied and said they said they wanted him to coach the game, and they said we didn't say anything like that.
What's his
when
reputation?
You lie about what your players said. Yeah.
He just followed his reputation. He's a liar.
He's
a liar.
Has Ole Miss ever been in this position? No.
Archie and Eli didn't get him there.
Right. So I mean, Lane must be a pretty good coach.
So Larry, who plays in the national championship game?
Gosh, I don't know how the brackets are set up. I'm going to pick Indiana and Georgia if they can face each other.
All right, Chuck, who plays the national championship?
Indiana and Ohio State if they can face each other. I think that's the way it's set up. I think it's Indiana and Ohio State.
Yep, that's the way the bracket is set up. Yep. Georgia and Ohio State are in the same bracket. Indiana and Oregon, those guys, they're in the same bracket. So, David, who plays in the national championship game?
Wishful thinking. I could only go wishful thinking. Indiana against Ohio State. And unfortunately.
Stop, David. Don't do it.
The Ohio State will win by a touchdown. I don't want that to happen.
It's hard.
I want it to be Indiana.
It's hard to beat a team twice in the same season. It's really hard to do. Larry, who wins the national championship?
I don't know. I think we're kind of premature with these questions. I'm gonna suggest why don't we wait at least until after next week. Who's gonna be there?
We want you. We want your.
That's what we do.
Well, I have no idea. I'm not a college football follower that close.
I'm going to sign you Georgia. We'll just give you Georgia.
Well, all right. Two more questions on college.
Why even ask me this?
I like the way Larry says that, as if to say, I am an expert, though, in basketball and football, and when I say a team there, it's going to win. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't necessarily say I was the expert, but I've kind of watched them. You know, I don't generally play favorites, so kind of the NFL, and I can't tell you the NFL either because it's wide open.
Yeah, it's a different team every week. The NFL flip flops every week. So, last question on college football: can Kyle Whittingham get Michigan back on track? Was that a good choice for them for head coach, Larry?
I got to pass on that. I'm not even familiar with him.
Okay, Chuck.
I'm very familiar with him. So look, he's done a good job out in Utah. He used to play at Brigham Young. He went to Brigham Young. His dad was coach at Brigham Young. Then he took over Utah. He's done okay at Utah. You know, he's had a season where he was 10-2 and 9-3 and that kind of thing. The question becomes, I think he'll clean up Michigan in terms of whatever drama they got going on. But can he recruit well enough to beat Ohio State and Indiana and Oregon every year, Penn State? I don't know. And remember, he's been out in Utah recruiting. If you know what I'm saying. So I don't know. We're gonna see if he can go into Detroit and get those dudes. So we'll see.
David, what do you think about Kyle Whittingham?
He's a seasoned coach. The only negative I would say is his age, but we're all older than him.
Yeah.
So he's 66.
Yeah. We're children, except for you, Greg. So, he's your age.
Right. He is. So I think
we're older. I think he'll be fine. And Michigan is a historic program, the winningest program in the history of college football, but it's dysfunctional right now.
Yeah. He'll clean that
and
up.
His main job is to clean it up.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's going to be fully cleaned up before he has to retire.
I don't disagree.
Well, I think the best thing they did was to get him in place now because the portal opens up January 2nd, so they can at least stop the bleeding. I don't know how well he's going to be able to recruit, but at least he can stop some of the bleeding from some of their key players leaving and going elsewhere because he's a decent man and he's got a good reputation.
I wonder what choice he was on their list. I don't know if that's ever going to come out, but
it's always a good question.
Second.
You think it was the second choice?
They wanted Kellen DeBoer.
Is he the guy in Alabama?
Yeah, they wanted him.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing.
Yeah.
They're like Alabama won last week.
So with the time we have left, let's talk about the NBA. Man, the NBA is heating up. OKC is coming back to the pack, and the Spurs are doing a really good job of bringing them back. Is OKC, can they stay on top in the West? And how good are the Spurs, Larry?
I think OKC is going to stay on top in the West. You guys may not remember a couple of weeks ago, I commented on San Antonio after they played them the first time. San Antonio matches up very well against OKC. I think OKC will continue to beat mostly everyone else. But if, basketball, just like a lot of sports, is a matter of matchups. And if they got to play against OKC and the Spurs in a playoff situation, that's going to be interesting. And I'll say the Spurs have the athleticism to guard OKC's players out on the perimeter. And then when Wemby comes in the game, he effectively takes away that mid-range shot as well as layups. So that's a problem for OKC's style of play. But I think otherwise, OKC's going to continue to beat most of the other teams out there. They just match up well.
All right, Chuck, can OKC hang on to the West?
Yes. The answer is yes. That doesn't mean they're going to win it, though, because I think OKC is going San Antonio is going to cause a problem. What OKC doesn't do well, and that's a relative term, is they don't shoot the threes. They drive. They steal the ball, and they drive to the bucket a lot, and they shoot a lot of mid-range. Wemby's a problem. So they've got to make an adjustment. They're going to have to shoot more threes against San Antonio because Wemby ain't having that. But I do think their age, San Antonio's age, they have a lot of youth. And I think that's going to catch up with them, too, when it gets further down in terms of playoff time. I look forward to it. If it comes down to the West and it's Oklahoma City versus San Antonio, man, what a series that's going to be.
I think so. David?
OKC is going to be just fine. I think they're the favorite to win the championship again. Now, the question I have is, will Wembanyama hold up physically?
It's the other question.
And I'm not sure that he will. He's not, for all of our, praise and hype for Wemby, he's not Wilt Chamberlain. He's not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And until he becomes such a dominant force like those two were, I'm not saying San Antonio is going to win anything. They're going to be respectable. They're going to be good. And they ought to be hoping that they play OKC. But there's no guarantee beyond that. Wembanyama is a great player, but he's just not as good as everybody thinks he is.
Please, David, stop it. Stop.
No, I'm
Chamberlain and Alcindor or Kareem, they couldn't do that. They couldn't handle the ball.
First of all,
they weren't as tall as
you have. Hold on, Chuck.
They were just stronger.
Hold on. You play the people that you play in your era. If Wilt Chamberlain was playing today, he would play today's game. So would Jabbar. What I'm saying is the dominance against the players that are currently playing. Wembanyama is not as dominant as those two were in their era. That's all I'm saying. And comparing eras is a fool's errand anyway, because you can't. Basketball is an evolutionary sport.
Right.
And all I'm saying is Wemby, since I'm messing up his name, is not as dominant as those two. If he was as dominant as those two, I would agree with you.
He's a pretty dominant player from 20, 21, 22 years old. And we got to give him a little time to play. He's a 7'4" player, but he seems bigger than 7'4" to me. I mean, there's been other players that are bigger than him, but for some reason, his ability to chase people down and block shots, I think in 2 or 3 years now, his health, he had a heart problem or something last year. Yeah, he's got to be healthy. That's the whole thing. And this year, his legs, he's not at he's still on a minutes restriction. But gosh, when he comes in against OKC, that wins the game for them every time.
Bro, I watched him single-handedly dismember the Dallas Mavericks. He dismembered them. He did things that I've never seen a man his size do. He draws people out into the perimeter, and once you're his size out there, you're done. You're toast. He'll leave you in the dust. He'll shoot a three-pointer. He'll dunk backwards. He'll block you. I've seen him do more things this year. He's getting better every game. He gets a little better every game. I think we probably have seen, if I had to guess percentage, we're probably seeing about 75% of what he actually can do. But the key is going to be for him to stay healthy. But this young man he's sick. He's crazy good. His foot speed, his agility, his body control, it's off the charts. I mean, it's nothing anybody's ever seen.
Is he another one of those soccer goalies?
You saw him with the ball. He was kicking before the game. He was just dribbling the ball with his feet. The ball never would touch the ground. He was just kicking the ball. He's so
that was part of his offseason. He did that in the offseason. That was part of his offseason. In addition to going to a Shaolin temple and training with monks, he's done so many things to get himself righteous.
He has such good lateral movement on defense, and when you beat him, he can chase you down and block it. That's the one thing that I'm seeing him do. Yeah, that's how he gets OKC, because they do the stuff that they normally do with other people, and he can still contest the shot.
He's beat OKC three times. It's not even in the December yet. He's beat him 3 times.
Okay, so we're at time. We probably should stop it here. And instead of closing comments, how about we do your top sports story for 2025? Since this is the last show of 2025, what was your number one sports story for 2025? I'll start with you, David.
Easily, the Indiana Pacers. It was quite a trek to the finals, and if not for Halliburton ripping his Achilles tendon, we'd be talking about the Indiana Pacers as NBA champions, period. And that's my top sports story of this year.
Very possible. Chuck.
He got it half right. Indiana University and what they've done this year in a calendar year, a program that 2 years ago was last place in the Big Ten, 3-9. Last year they went 11-2 or something, and this year they're undefeated, 13-0, beat Big Ten for the national championship. Never happened before. On Thursday, it'll be their second Rose Bowl ever in the history of the school. It is clearly Indiana University football program.
All right, Larry, top sports story for 2025.
I will go with Oklahoma City. And those other stories are certainly good. And there's other things we could say, but just to pick something different. I think Oklahoma City had a relatively young team, relatively unknown coach, and their team really put it together. I've never seen, or I should say it's rare when you have a team top to bottom, but they have so many people that I say are professionals. No matter how many minutes they get in a game, when they're called upon, they come and deliver. And they had to go through a significant challenge with Denver and with the Pacers. I mean, they didn't have it easy. And when you look at them, they were like the younger team in most of those cases, and they were able to put it together and win the championship.
Well, I was one missed championship. If Dagenhart didn't win the championship, I was ready to slit his throat, and he shut me up. So he did a fantastic job this year, and he has emerged as one of the top coaches in the NBA. My number one sports story for 2025 is the absolute bonehead, stupidest NBA trade I've ever seen, and Luka Doncic. That is my number one sports story that I don't know how you think trading Luka Doncic is a good idea, but it was a bad idea no matter how you frame it up, no matter who you got for him, that was a bad idea. All right, that's it for Real Fellas Talk Sports. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you.
Dodgers were number 2.
Oh, Dodgers. Everybody have a very happy and safe new year, and we will see you in 2026.
Good job, Greg.